So I am a member of the customer success team here at Ex Libris, and specifically, I work with Summon customers like you. Today, I will be discussing different Summon customization options, including facets, some branding, widgets, and more. And quickly, I just wanted to highlight this webinar is a part of our Discover Summon webinar series. So specifically today, I'm going to talk about Summon customizations and what's available to you. So we'll touch on tailoring facets to your library and using the administration console to adjust Summon for your institution, what you can change and how. And also, I'll quickly go over using custom panels and supported widgets and how you can use them to meet your library's goal. So with customizing Summon, there are many options to customize your site. And a lot of these that I'll talk over today are quick and easy changes that will enhance your user's experience. And if you haven't before, I would become very familiar with your Summon administration console. A lot of the customization options that I'll talk through today, you'll be activating through the admin console. So it's very important to get to know that. There's tons of options in there, and it's a great, really user-friendly tool that's easy to use. So first thing I want to go into is talking about facets and also the refine your search section that appears on the left-hand side of your Summon site. I'm going to talk about how you can customize this section, reorder things, and tailor it to your library and what's relevant to your patron base. So our Summon facets are really designed to improve your patron search experience. In your Summon UI, they will appear on the left-hand side of the site. And the purpose of them is to be able to narrow down a search result set. So maybe you're looking for a physical book in your library or a full text book that you're able to ebook that you're just able to access online. You'll be able to narrow down your search results using these refine your search sections. And also you'll be able to expand past your library's collection. So if your patrons can go beyond what you're subscribed to in the client center. So it's great to really drill down on what you're looking for. And one of the great things that I want to highlight here is that you can customize these facets to show what's important for your site. So if we're indexing your library catalog in Summon, we can do cool things like only show the physical books in your library catalog. Or, I'll go into some different sections in the next slide. And I'll actually go into our Summon site and show you what they look like in your live instance. So let me hop over to the live site, and we can kind of go through some of these facets together. All right, so to your left-hand side, here's where you have both your refine your search section and our other facets below. If you've been with us for a while, you'll recognize that this looks a little different. So recently we did have a Summon user interface refresh. So we edited the look and feel of the left-hand side of the facets, made things a little bit easier to read for your patrons and a little more user-friendly. So on the top-hand section, we have your refine your search section. This can help you drill down into specific content types or expand them. Down here for content type, we can actually look into, okay, so if I've done a Summon search and I'm looking for strictly books and ebooks, here's where you can include this item. With our new user refresh, UI refresh, we've added this exclude button. So if you know you don't want any, let's say magazine articles in your search, you can easily go ahead and exclude that item, and it will do a live refresh of what you've done. Up here, you can see what you've excluded. We've made this more user-friendly so that if you just click here, you can see what's excluded, and you can actually, change things up here, and it'll refresh. So let's say I want a journal article. I'm looking for just ebooks that are full text online. And another great enhancement we made recently was having both of those facets selected. It'll show them as a nice summary up here at the top. So your patrons can easily see what we're searching for. They can click clear all for a better user experience and make things just very easy and to understand. So down here, you can also filter by publication date. Previously, this was a slide bar. Now it's nice user-friendly buttons. You can also filter by library location if you're part of a consortium or have multiple live sites, the different disciplines you're looking for, and some relevant subject terms that match your search. Another thing I like to highlight is your patrons can search by database and also new records. So records that have been imported in the last 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. And they can also filter by author and language. Last thing I'll call out is at the bottom, you have this back to top option, which just makes the experience a little more seamless and takes you back to the top. So there's lots you can do here. And one of the things I want to go into next is how to actually configure and activate these facets and also order them to your liking and choose what you want to appear in your live site. All right, so how to configure these facets? Like I mentioned before, this is going to be configurable in your Summon admin console. So you'll go up to the top under settings, and then on the left-hand side, you'll go to refine your search. And here is where you can enable and disable facets relevant to your library. So here you'll choose, on or off, and you'll want to save settings. You also have the ability to reorder your facets and then also relabel them using the translations tab. And we'll get into how you can actually go in and do that in the next slide. So if you're looking to reorder the facets, under the settings side to the left-hand side, you'll see instead of refine your search, you'll go up to facets, and you can disable any facets you prefer and rearrange the order of appearance so you can easily drag and drop how you would like them to display and really make this section your own. So lots you can do there. One thing I'll call out is, some people want, content type, these are the popular facets, content type, discipline, subject terms. You can disable things that aren't relevant to your site. So one of our most recent facets that was released was the ability to separate physical books from ebooks. And how you do this, it's again in the admin console under refine your search. This is great if you are indexing your library catalog in Summon. Basically, it's going to be a two-step activation. So first, you'll want to actually turn on this physical backend processing. So your physical book backend processing. Once this is set to on, you'll need to wait for an index refresh to be completed before the facet is configured and ready to go. So this is just due to us needing to go through your print books and kind of make sure they're in the right place for when the facet is enabled. So once you do this physical backend processing, you'll want to wait until the next index refresh. So that's around 5 to 7 days. Or if you're familiar with the index refresh schedule, you'll just wait till then. I would recommend just setting a calendar reminder so you don't forget. Because once that's done, in order to actually get these filters showing up in your live site, you'll have to go in again and do a second step and actually activate these last two filters. So this process will not affect the existing book/ebook facet, so you'll still be able to have that displayed, but this just gives you the ability to separate them, makes things a little more clear cut for your users. So for activating the print, your print books, you'll just set the physical books filter enabled to on, and then it's the same thing with ebooks. And once you click Save Settings, this should appear within 5 minutes of changing that. So it should be a really quick fix and will happen, within the next 10 minutes. So you don't have to wait for index refresh for the actual filters to show up in your live site. So I briefly talked about the recent improvements implemented to the facets page in our refresh. So, before we had many of our options were only available in a more user pane. So you had to do an additional click to get there. In our new design, we put the exclude options for each facet displayed directly for a facet without going to a more panel, which makes things just more streamlined. And then facets are searchable directly from the initial facet list, and we've configured them so they have better functionality on both your desktop computer and mobile device. And one question we got is how to configure Summon to expand facets by default. So in case you're wondering on how to go in and configure that, I've included this helpful resource here. So once we send out the presentation after this webinar, you can kind of go in, check out how to do that, and look at some of the other configurations you can do with facets and your Summon site. So I just want to briefly touch on that and include that in the presentation. So next up, I want to quickly highlight the value of the translations tab and how you can use it to change the text strings in your live site. So the translations tab is also known as our custom text editor. And you can use this to customize really any text you see in your live site. So if you see a set of text you want to change, you can go, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So you'll go to the translations tab in your admin console. You'll search the term as it appears in your Summon site. You'll just click edit text to whatever and then you'll enter your desired text and then click save. So changes take around 10 minutes to appear. And this is really great for just contextualizing things on your site, making them your own. If a string of text is too wordy, you can change it. So for example, we have our physical books and library catalog facet. You can go ahead, edit that using the translations tab to just say physical books, and that's how it will appear in your site. So I just want to note, if you do search a term and you see it grayed out in the translation tabs, this means that it's not available for editing, excuse me. And yeah, it'll appear grayed out, and you won't have the ability to edit. It'll just say disabled with the word locked in place of the edit button. So I want to note that if you do need these items edited, you can just submit a ticket via our support system, and we can go ahead and help you altering that text. And then in the December 2021 release, and any releases that have previously happened, we have gone in and done an update to the functionality so that all the new features should be added to the translations tab and configurable to your liking. So that's the translations tab, very helpful. Next, I want to switch gears and talk about custom panels, which is the area of space to the right of your Summon site, and talk about specifically ways of communicating using custom panels and the ways of communicating important messages and helpful tips to patrons. So here's some key tips when thinking about custom panels. You can use these to communicate with your users. What you'll want to do is think about any of the key messages your library is trying to get across to patrons. So some examples we see on different sites would be sharing tips on accessing resources on and off campus, any notice of maybe an upcoming library closure, or if you have a special event happening, or if you want to highlight a special collection that's only available for a certain amount of time, this is also another great way to do so right on your Summon search page. And you can also get very technical with this. So embedding, a library chat widget, and even going as far as to offering virtual research appointments. So it can be as basic or as specific and kind of, tailored to your site as you want. And the last thing you want to keep in mind when creating custom panels is you want to think about how long you want your patrons to scroll. You kind of want to limit that. So really just drilling down on key messages. And if they're only time relevant, we have specific buttons you can press to have them showing at specific times and not all the time. So you're not just constantly sucking up that space in your custom panel section. So I wanted to show a few examples of what people have done. On our left hand, you can see this library has actually embedded a video giving tips on getting the most out of Summon and tips on searching for Summon. So that's very useful if, your patron base, might need some guidance with searching in Summon. In the middle, you can see here, they've advertised virtual research appointments that are available. They've added, this cute little infographic and some easy to read text. And then, of course, we have a section on remote access and help, which is always helpful to students and especially accessing off campus. And since the pandemic, we're in a more virtual world. So very helpful to your patrons when trying to access off campus or virtually. All right, so in order to create these custom panels, what you'll want to do is, again, go to your handy dandy admin console, and you'll at the top go to Pages up here, and then you'll go into your custom panel section. And here is where you'll see your custom panel, how to create a custom panel. Below it will be any previous custom panels that are already created, and you'll have the ability to edit them, move them, do different things. And to the side, we'll have our bulk section importer. So if you have multiple custom panels you want to be adding and you just want to upload them via CSV, you can import them here. And so, yeah, so what you'll do, and if you want to create a new custom panel, is to enter in a section heading or title, and you'll want to make sure that's unique. You'll enter the body of the text in the section of the box below. And it's important to note, to not use HTML when you're typing in here. In the next slide, I'm going to go over how to insert some HTML code if you do choose to go that route and you want to customize things a little bit more. But you'll enter your title, your body. You'll use the built-in menus to select formatting, text alignments, etc. And if you look to the bottom, you'll see this disabled or persistent checkboxes. If you check the persistent checkbox, this is if you want this custom panel to always appear on your right-hand side. So this is good for, accessing Summon when you're offline, something that's always going to be relevant to your patrons. And you can also use the disabled box if you don't want this custom panel to appear in Summon. So this would work great if you had a time-sensitive message or something seasonal where, you've created the custom panel, you don't necessarily want to delete it, but you can just go ahead, disable it for a different time. And creating these custom panels, just like the translations tab or reordering your facets, it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to appear in your live site. So relatively quick. If you want to enhance your visuals, and if your university has someone on board who is good at adding HTML, CSS code, or JavaScript, you can go ahead and add that to your custom panel And what this does is it makes sections better with visuals and more powerful options. So just like before, enter in your title, your body, and this time you'll click Tools, and there will be a drop down for source code. So you'll just go ahead and paste your code into the source code pop-up menu, click OK, and save. So it's good to note that you can also customize the custom panel section by adjusting the order of messages, even adding tags. And then there's also a way to actually display custom panels by default. I'll touch on that. But if you want to adjust the order of your custom panels, first you'll click Move at the top of your existing custom panel. And then you will be given the option to either move it to the top or the bottom of custom panels. So that's helpful to know. If you want to, you can also drag and drop panels to arrange them, which is an easier option in the admin console. This is great because, if you have 2 or more custom panels, you just drag and drop however you want. And then also, it's great to add tags to your custom panels. So if you didn't check the persistent checkbox, you should use the add tag feature, because what this will do is identify search keywords and phrases that are relevant to the content of the custom panel section, and it will then appear when someone's done a search. So say I'm a medical library and I have PubMed in my custom panels appearing as one of the widgets. I type, if I'm a patron and I type in PubMed into my summon search, you can actually add that tag so that this custom panel will appear via that search. So it's very cool. You can get really intricate with the tags and what you want to show and when. And like I mentioned before, we have this great knowledge article. What kinds of things can a library put in summon custom panels? And one of the things it touches on is displaying custom panels by default. So a lot of times with different screen sizes, your user interface can appear differently. So maybe it shows the facets on the left-hand side and the search results, but maybe their screen is too small and it doesn't display the custom panels section. We've created and gave you a little cheat sheet on how to actually go in and configure your summon so that your custom panels will always be showing by default. So if you want to go ahead and see how you can do that, when we send the PDF out, you can just go ahead and click this link, and that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to do so. I highly suggest you take a look at this. It's got some great information on there, and is, one that sometimes we forget about. So it could give you some cool ideas. And also, I've just included some resources here that I referenced on the slide previously. So just in general, how to configure custom panels, and then what can you put in a custom panel. And this gives you some example code and how you can use HTML, JavaScript, CSS to make your panels unique. Now I'm going to briefly discuss some available widgets like the chat feature and your SpringShare libguides. So since the pandemic started, we've all really had to adapt to remote learning. And as we know, one drawback is not being able to be actually physically in the library. So patrons don't always have that option. And now, of course, we're back, but most institutions are back. But sometimes, you don't have the option to walk up to a help desk. You're doing your projects from home and you need some help in the moment. So with the chat widget, patrons can reach out to your library via your summon site. So just right off your live site, they can see the chat widget and go ahead and get in contact with your library there. So some of the accepted chat widgets, we have more than one. If your library has a subscription for library help, SpringShare's lib answers, OCLC's question point, we accept those chat widgets, and we also accept WhatsApp. So I highly suggest looking into this if you haven't already. It's just a great way for your patrons to be able to contact your library if they're looking for something specific. And if you want to activate this, there's an entire section in the admin console for chat. So you can see the options here, if you're using SpringShare versus library help, how you'll enable that. You can also include a widget image, and you can edit their placement and appearance, which I'll talk about on our next slide. But one thing I'll say is when your staff is not available for chat, you can choose to provide an email. So, your library's help email, or you can choose to not offer an email option and instead just provide a chat screen indicating the chat is currently not available. So obviously we don't all have the resources to be available 24/7. So we have, we know this is a thing. So we've made it possible to either have an email where the chat messages will go to, or you can just, display that chat's not currently available. So, and if you need help on activating your respective widget, I've included this helpful resource at the bottom of the slide, which is a knowledge article that includes details on how to activate, getting in contact with your library help administrator and getting an ID to put in here, and things like that, and the steps you'll want to take. So encourage you to check this out after our presentation. So to change the chat placement and appearance, you have two options. So you can choose to situate the chat box at the top, like we see here. So the icon is just displaying here, or on the right-hand side. And, I like this one. It kind of pops out. It's a little bit different than the rest. If you choose to have your icon up here, it kind of gets lost a little bit. But again, up to your library's preference. And how you'll do that is you'll use the widget location setting in the chat section. So if I go back here, you can see widget location setting right here, and you can see top, or it'll give you the option to go to the side. So you can also provide a custom widget online image to display. And so that'll display when staff is available for questions, and a widget offline image to display when staff is not available. So when you slide the control to custom, use the select file button, and that's where you'll identify the image you want to upload. So cool, custom, and this is great because you can align it with your university's color scheme and branding, just to keep things consistent and give your users that feeling of trust and that this is the same site, and it's not just a random pop-up. So cool things you can do with the chat widget. I implore you to go ahead, take a look on how you want to situate things and make it available to your patrons. So we also can index your SpringShare LibGuides. So LibGuides can be set up for search and discovery in Summon, and this allows your users to easily find relevant subject guide materials and library FAQs. To index your LibGuides, all you'll need to do is open up a ticket to support, and then we will go ahead. You can choose CDI as the asset, and Summon local content as a category, and we'll go ahead and get those indexed for you. And it's just important to know I've jotted down here what data we index directly from LibGuides. So, title, publication date, author, publisher, and then again, navigation links from tab-based menus are also indexed. So lots you can do here. And then we do directly harvest the data from your LibGuides pages. So this will be updated weekly with your Summon index refresh. And yeah, so if you've had additions or deletions to your LibGuides, it's great because we're constantly looking and pulling up the proper guides so you can stay relevant. Lastly, I just want to quickly touch on some tips for aligning your institution's branding with the Summon interface. So Summon is, customizable, and your branding was probably completed during implementation, but there's new things and new widgets coming out all the time. And so it's just important to note and let you guys know that you can align your summon with your university's branding. So using the same color scheme, same look and feel, and you can try out different looks too. So how it can look with different branding. What you can customize, so you can upload institutional logos. This would be in your admin console under the settings section. Under logos, there's a whole section dedicated to it. Another cool thing I want to call out is you can customize the color of links that appear in your search results. So primarily, we just have this neutral blue color as the links. But if you wanted to go ahead and edit that to fit with your branding, you'll want to just go into the Summon admin console under Summon 2.0 customizations. And what you can see here, you'll enable custom colors, and you'll actually need to add in the hexadecimal code that you would like it to appear as. So one thing I want to call out is you can easily do this. If you just do a Google search for hexadecimal code, lots of options will pop up. You'll just hover over the color picker and hover over the color that you're looking for. It'll then give you a numerical value that you'll go ahead and that's what you'll enter in here. So very cool. You don't have to be advanced in coding or anything. It's a very simple change. I also want to note that you can use any CSS style sheets. So if your university or institution has a style sheet for branding, you don't have to, reinvent the wheel. You could just plug it in and apply, and you just might have to go ahead and spot check and fix a few things once it appears in your live site. But very cool, very simple, easy to do, but overall enhances the cohesion of your site. Yeah, so that's great. And before we wrap up, I just want to talk about additional customization. So there's Summon search results indicator. So we have a new design as of our Summon UI refresh that we did in December. So all of our, peer-reviewed icons, original research icons, the search result page number, that's all displayed now in a consistent location. And so the user need was, of course, to identify materials that might be relevant. And let me just quickly share. Let me include peer review, open access. We'll just do a search really quick. So yeah, these icons that I'm talking about are over here. You may have seen them here previously under the actual photo. We've put them all on the right-hand side now, so you can easily see what they're categorized as. Here's another great example. So this piece of content is peer-reviewed, original research. It's also open access, and it's got 11 pages. So just making things nicer for your patrons. And the customizable part comes in because you can choose to turn on the peer review indicator, open access indicator. So in your admin console, you'll want to go to settings and configure them that way. But it's just another way to give your patrons visibility into what kind of content they are looking at. And they're great. It's great visually as a student to see those things. So if you're thinking about customizing, but you would like a little bit of guidance, we have plenty of options for you to reach out to the Ex Libris team. We have our customer success team, which, we are here to help you guys and help you reach your library goals, whether that be, giving you insight on if a customization is right for your site. You can reach out to us and we can do consultations with you. If you are stuck on how to configure an item, or maybe you have questions on how to go ahead and get that done, or it might be it's more of a technical edit that you want to be doing and implementing, We have our wonderful support team where you can just submit a ticket and they'll be able to help you out. We have our knowledge articles on our Ex Libris knowledge base. This is great. It'll give you step-by-step documentation on how to change things in your summon environment. So if anything I talked about today you are interested in, but you found that you didn't have enough information, we recommend using Google to find knowledge articles. So just easily searching, Google, saying, Ex Libris summon knowledge articles, customizing custom panels, or creating, or linking widgets, or etc. So that'll unearth a lot of great knowledge articles available to you guys. And then, of course, you can always lean on your summon community. So we have our summon listserv where people are sharing constantly, what they've been doing, raising questions on how a certain configuration has been done. I've seen a lot of HTML and source code sharing done on the listserv. So it's really important to just kind of keep up with that and get a pulse check on what the community is doing, how they're using Summon, and how you can also use that at your site. So great to reach out to. And you can also find contacts and libraries and get in actual contact with them, and they can give you tutorials and any tips on how to achieve your goals. So customer success team, support, we've got articles, we've got your community. So these are all great resources. And one thing I want to really hone in on is if you want to do any of these customizations, but you are a little nervous on doing them in the live environment, you can absolutely use your preview environment to make these changes before going live. So if you're implementing a new, HTML code and you're not really sure, or, you're not as familiar with HTML, do it in your preview environment. So that way, it won't be shown in your live. You can access it. And then, if you like the change, you can go ahead and put it in your live instance. So if you want to access your preview environment, you can access the preview UI at this web address below. And all you'll do, instead of client, you're just going to enter in like your summons name. So I've included documentation on the slide too. And also, if you want to view what it looks like in the preview environment, you can access that via the top right link from your Summon administration console. So if you guys had any questions on how to enable the features and cool customizations I talked through today, feel free to reach out to me and I'll definitely point you in the right place and help you get started on that. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Our Discover Summon webinar series, this is going to be great. It gives you tips and tricks on managing Summon. If you're a Summon admin, our next one is going to be, tips if you're new to Summon. So if there's someone at your institution that has just joined the team, is trying to, get their bearings of, how to manage Summon, this will be an excellent demonstration and live demonstration for you. And it'll go over, the top things you should be thinking about when managing Summon. So yeah, I encourage you guys to check out what's coming up this year. We'll have more information for you throughout the year. And again, if you have any recommendations for a webinar or a session you'd like to see, shoot me an email and we'd be happy to, try and incorporate that into our strategy. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate your time and stay in touch. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Thank you very much, Taylor, for presenting. Have a great day and stay healthy, everybody. Bye-bye.